All right, y'all. I'm joined today by a very special guest. I've got Johnny Crypto on the channel. We did a little collaboration on Around the Blockchain a few weeks ago, and we had a lot of cool things in common. So I'm like, we got to collab. So Johnny, how you doing, man? Thank you so much for being on the channel.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's always nice to have somebody that knows more about trading and has a bigger following and has done, almost like a mentorship kind of a thing. Because everyone needs three things. They need somebody to look up to, they need somebody to define themselves, to compare themselves to, and then they need somebody to teach. So I'm more than happy to be the person that you can teach. So thank you, Jason.
Sure. I mean, I'm definitely not the best trader in the world over here, but I get by. So
It's being
let's.
humble.
Well, I mean, it's true, right? I just have a platform, but I want to talk to you about the crypto markets because Bitcoin has just taken everybody by surprise, losing crucial support at around that 40K level. A lot of people were expecting a bounce there, and you are super bullish on Bitcoin. We were just talking before this that you're expecting $1 million Bitcoin within the next couple of years or so, right?
Not a couple years, more like a decade, maybe. By the time my daughter is out of high school, I expect $1 million Bitcoin, just because of the scarcity of the asset. You've got the Fed and everyone else around the world printing money, and so it's deflationary. Anybody that's gotten into crypto, well, I got into crypto because I read a book on Satoshi Nakamoto about his new eCash stuff. And if you can see in my background, it's his white paper of Bitcoin. And it's undeniable to think of something that is going to go up in value because there's less and less of it. That's why gold has been so valuable over the last, gosh, what has it been? It's been 2000 years. It's been quite a bit longer than that, but we got rid of the gold standard in the 70s, where the feds are like, hey, we're not going to back our money by anything because the rest of the world was using USD. They were using the United States dollar to do commerce, right? And at some point, they wanted gold for exchange for their dollars. Well, we didn't have enough in the Federal Reserve, so we had to abolish the whole gold standard because it was going to collapse the economy. So then we started this whole just fiat, which basically fiat means that it's basically backed by faith. It's backed by that the government is going to bail you out. It's going to save you. Well, if history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Back in 2002, we had the stock market crash. In 2009, we had 2008-ish, 2009 is when it was over with. We had the real estate bubble, and where banks literally needed to get bailed out and they were going insolvent. It took a little while for the government to bail them out, where it was scary, because we do have this thing called FDIC insurance, which if you have money in a bank, they will insure it up to $250,000. But again, that's faith that the government is going to protect your assets. But also because of that faith, they use your money in a bank account and they go they go use it as mortgages. They go send it to other places. They take credit cards, loans, and they pay you back like 0.1% back in interest. Well, with inflation rising, your money is worth nothing in a bank. And it's not even your money in a bank. It's the bank's money, because as soon as you deposit into a bank, you think it's your money, but no, they just have a promise to pay you back by this whole faith thing. Well, Bitcoin changes the narrative. It's your money. You are your bank. It's deflationary. It's always going to go up in value. And I say it's always going to go up in value just because it's scarce. There's only 21 million coins. 18 million of them or so have been released. And in the next, 140 years, we're going to release the last couple million. So I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin long term. And I think that anybody, doesn't matter if you buy any sort of top, if you dollar cost average into Bitcoin until it gets to like even your price targets, Jason, of 250,000, I think it's a good hedge against inflation. And forgive me for digressing. I probably just spent 10 minutes talking about that, but no, I'm super bullish on Bitcoin.
That's cool, man. And so you see basically Bitcoin as a hedge against our current financial system, which probably isn't going to be here too much longer.
Oh,
But yeah, go
those
ahead.
are fighting words. I mean, I hope it's going to be here for a long term because in order for Bitcoin to go up, we need new assets. We need a healthy economy. We need people, truthfully, we need a little bit of stimulus with the Fed continuing to kind of shoot themselves in the foot and keep printing money and buying back mortgage-backed securities because more people are going to put money into Bitcoin. I would hate to see
Right.
Everything collapse because Bitcoin will collapse as well. It just won't as fast as the US dollar.
Yeah, so I'm glad you bring that up because that's something I wanted to ask you about. So, if we are measuring the value of our Bitcoin with the yardstick of the dollar, and the dollar is being printed into oblivion, why will Bitcoin still be worth something if, let's say, one Bitcoin is $1 million 10 years from now, but $1 million can't buy you a gallon of milk? Why is Bitcoin still going to be valuable to us then? And I'm asking legitimately out of curiosity because this is something I always think about as somebody who, I'm big into physical precious metals and I'm big into cryptocurrencies to hedge against inflation. But then I always think to myself, well, if this is like a 1930s Germany kind of hyperinflation that we're going to experience, and we're measuring Bitcoin by saying, oh, I have this many dollars worth, then why will Bitcoin still be valuable to us if that were to happen? Or do you not think that's going to happen?
We're continuing to keep printing more money. And personally, like with what Powell, he's got his Chairman Powell with the Federal Reserve, they're speaking today about, hey, we've made a decision because they want to do quantitative easing. They want to raise interest rates because if we continue to keep printing money and keeping interest rates low, it's just like what we see with gas. We're going to have a $20 Big Mac and crap. It's going to be out of control. So the only way to rail that in is by raising interest rates, but it's also going to kind of collapse the influx of new money. And basically what happened in the Great Depression is the government decided to raise interest rates into double digits and everyone went broke. Everyone went destitute, so there's a fine line there. And right now, especially with the presidency, with his rating, I don't think they're wanting to make anything drastic happen until maybe 2023, later to maybe 2024. I do think we're going to see some interest rates as far as quantitative easing happening where they're buying back less, but I think it's going to be short because if they all of a sudden just completely wipe it out, man, we're going to have California all over the United States. And to answer your question, Bitcoin just needs to keep up with inflation. It needs to be, right now, inflation is about 6-7%. In reality, it's probably more like 8 or 9 because, everybody likes to fudge the numbers. And Bitcoin is done better than that. You put $1 in at the end of the year, you've got more than 8% back on it. You've got a buck 40 or something. Bitcoin is still up like 40% from its lows of this year of like, what was it? 10,000 or not last year, 10,000, this cycle, the lows of this cycle. So you just have to keep up with the rate of inflation, and Bitcoin has been known to keep and outperform that. And because Bitcoin is divisible by 100 million Satoshis, if Bitcoin, worst case scenario, ended up becoming the money of the world, it would just be divisible by then. Like $1 is divisible by 100 pennies. You would just buy 0.00010 for a burger or something for something. I don't want to see interest rates get out of control because it's going to hurt all small businesses. Only the elite will be able to survive. And I think what's kind of happening right now is we've got a huge gap happening between the middle class where we're keeping, the poor to middle class. We're almost making them an even bigger gap between the wealthy, where before there was a smaller gap between the middle and the top. And if you look at housings, you look at everything, people can't afford homes. You look at rent has gone through the roof, but people aren't making 40% more money every year to pay for the added mortgage or rent or even food of that nature. So There needs to be a little bit, but it doesn't need to be so drastic. And I don't think that this administration is going to do what they need to do as far as making a drastic move, because it's going to adversely affect their rating. And so that was sort of a loaded answer to your question.
Yeah.
And I don't know. More than anything, time will tell. But cryptocurrency, at least the good ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ones that actually have been proven to have value, they're not just this face of a meme. They'll be around here long term, just like in the .com bubble. You know, there was over 1,000 internet stocks, and most of them went to zero. But we are left with Amazon, Apple, Facebook, you know, that sort of thing. Same thing's going to happen with crypto. So the best hedge is to be in the strong ones, and sometimes the strong ones are the most expensive ones. You know, people want to buy Shiba, they want to buy Doge, they want to buy all SafeMoon, they want to buy all this silly stuff. That's because it's so cheap, but they don't understand the fundamental value to it. Like, you know, you're a very intelligent trader, and so short term, yeah, if you trade sideways choppy action, or you could short, you could go long, you can make money in all three different kind of markets. The majority of people don't have the emotional capacity to not make those decisions. They just want to have the path of least resistance. They want to just buy something and watch it go up forever and feel like a genius. Well, because of propaganda and media and influencers, you know, they shill some sort of Doge or some sort of crappy coin that they really don't understand fundamentally that it's worth zero. And so they put too much money into it. You and I both know that you should never play with money that you're not willing to lose. But most people don't know that. They just saw a commercial and then they go put their whole life savings on it. And then they sell at 50% loss. And then they just feel like they got kicked in the butt and the whole world hates them, kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah. Very interesting. So yeah, it is interesting to see how society is going, like the gap that you talk about, the disappearing middle class. Do you think, or are you considering, you know, when we hear about things like the Great Reset that the World Economic Forum is talking about, where it kind of almost seems like the big players in the world are actually trying to create a new monetary system. Um, do you think that this will affect Bitcoin positively, or do you think it could affect Bitcoin negatively? A lot of times when I'm looking at the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin, it becomes a little bit more complex for me to just say that I'm bullish long term, because so many things hang in the balance. Like if we are going to be on a completely new monetary system within the next 10 years by 2030, let's say, or if we are going to see the death of the dollar and it's no longer the world reserve currency and we can't just continue to do what we're doing and print monopoly money, what effects do you think this will have on Bitcoin? I know this is similar to the question I just asked you, but you know, I am also a long-term hodler, and I've got a lot of hope, you know, that Bitcoin, if everything kind of stays the way it is, will be worth a lot. I don't have any kind of retirement fund or anything like that. I just have crypto and precious metals. So, first of all, is that something that you would like to comment on?
Sure. I think that we are still going to have a world currency. We're not. I think there's a swinging of the tide that's sort of happening where we're more of like a world superpower right now, where if one nation was to go to war, it would affect everybody globally, because we're so intertwined with trade and business that we don't want that to happen. So as much as we say that, hey, you know, this is China, hey, this is the United States, hey, this is Russia, hey, this is, you know, South Africa, we're a lot closer than everybody thinks. And I think, yes, we're going to continue to have a currency. It's just going to be more digitized. It's already digital, but there's just a centralization to it. And so what I believe the United States government is trying to do is they're trying to find a way of implementing the current systems of what Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other top cryptos on the blockchain are doing. And they're just trying to centralize it more so that it'll work for the entire world. And then they can tell everybody via propaganda that, hey, this is backed by us. Don't use anything else. But as far as the little man goes, that is going to affect Bitcoin negatively. And personally, I think any negative news on Bitcoin makes it more bullish, whether it's China banning it or, any other country banning it. They're trying to get it to go down, because there's that saying, "The who holds the money has the power. They make the rules." And Bitcoin is becoming that little V for Vendetta, power to the people type asset. And I know there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists out there, and a lot of people that want to see the world go to shit. Well, if the world goes to shit, so does crypto, because you still have to have an influx of money. And, we're at like a $2 trillion market cap around the world with commodities. It's like a $68 trillion market cap. So we want everything to do well, and there is room for both. And the cool thing about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is it's decentralized. At least most of it is decentralized, where if I wanted to wire you money, Jason, and my name was Muhammad, like this is just crappy. If my name was Muhammad and I was trying to wire you money, the bank would flag it and be like, "Hey, we need your ID, we need your social security number, we need your passport, proof of citizenship," all this kind of crap, where it's like, "Hey, I'm a good person. Why do you need this?" Or if I'm going to wire you over $10,000, you need to know who my firstborn is and all sorts of stuff. Well, with crypto, it's all on the blockchain. It's all on the ledger. If you really, really wanted to find out who I was, you could do some deep phishing and find out what my address is, but nobody can stop it. You're going to have that in your account in 3 network confirmations of 15 minutes with a very small fee, where we're cutting out the middleman. And that's the thing, is it's innovation. It's just like Kodak back in, I believe, the 90s. They didn't think that there was going to be any digital pictures. They thought everyone's going to continue to go to the pharmacy to print out their pictures. Well, what happened? We now have our cell phones, and, we don't even pay for photographers anymore, because we're like, "Hey, we can do it on our own." So it's all about innovation. And what our government in the United States here is, they're just trying to innovate. But because nobody can make up their damn mind, it's just going to take a lot longer. And for that reason, I think there's always going to be a place for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin potentially is always going to have a small negative notation to it until we have a lot more money into it. And by the time we have a lot more money into Bitcoin, when it's at 250,000 or so on and so forth, that means, there's already 10, 20 trillion dollars into the market. It's almost too late to make the massive gains that we can right now. So as far as your retirement, as long as you keep hodling those coins, dude, you could stake those coins here in 20 years or, a few years and make a good passive income. Like I talk a lot about FU money, and what I mean by FU money is having a passive income to where you don't have to answer to anyone. You've got 100 grand coming into you because you've staked 2 million of Bitcoin in a staking pool, and you're making 5% back in rewards. That's 100 grand back to you every year. So you really don't have to. You could tell your boss, "Screw you, I'm going on vacation." Nobody can tell you anything because you're taking care of yourself. And I believe cryptocurrency can do that for all of us. And with the whole DeFi, we could start, like I said, we could be making interest back on this stuff with massive amounts of return. And sorry, Jason, that I'm just talking a bunch about this. I've got such a fundamentally strong outlook on this stuff that this is just a short-term pain for a long-term gain. And people just don't need to be so narrow-minded about this stuff. And the problem with our society is we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got all this stuff that you want to be information at you in the next 5 seconds. Well, you really need to zoom out and do your own research and look at this stuff. So I tell everybody they should read a book on Bitcoin before they invest in Bitcoin, because they will understand the asset. And if you understand the asset, then you can play the whole volatility.
Right. Definitely a very interesting perspective, man. And, I hope you're right on it.
Me too.
Like I was saying, it's just, there's so many things that hang in the balance. Like if the dollar becomes worthless, and all fiat money is worthless, it's completely worthless. So we're putting nothing into Bitcoin and saying Bitcoin is now worth something because it cannot be, it's peer to peer. You can't duplicate it. Limited supply. I can see, if the dollar goes away and a Bitcoin is still worth a Bitcoin because proof of work and all that, and the network, potentially it could be a hedge against total economic collapse. But basically, we need the current financial system to remain, or at least evolve in a way that doesn't cause complete upheaval if we're going to get to where you're saying you want to go. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. You said it much more straight to the point. The 10,000 foot view is basically, you're right. The monetary system needs to be revamped to help its citizens, not just to make the elite richer. With the banks are the only ones that are making money. Crypto can change it to where all of us will start making good interest off of our own money, and it'll just level the playing field. That's all crypto was designed to do, was to level the playing field. And the best way to do that is decentralization, so that there's nobody in power.
Yeah, I mean, the Bitcoin white paper is very what's the word, anarchist in its undertones in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And yeah, that's something I could be down with for sure, man. So Johnny, thank you so much for coming on the channel, man. I really appreciate your outlook, and I appreciate our conversation very much. Where can people find you, and what kind of social media outlets you got going on?
So I am Johnny_crypto on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. I've got 3 underscores in there, but you could find me on Johnny Crypto on YouTube. And thank you, Jason. I appreciate you having me on, and I will continue to pick your brain on some more trading, because I am always learning. And lately I'm on like a 5 trade losing streak. It seems like I need to do the exact opposite of whatever I'm doing, because it seems I just keep being wrong. So it's nice to have somebody to almost be a mentor in that aspect. So I appreciate it. And thank you so much, my friend.
For sure, man. All right, y'all. Johnny Crypto, check him out. God bless, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.